I've been doing an experiment for the last month where I use ChatGPT as essentially my life coach. I have been using ChatGPT for forever and along with some other AI models like Claude to help me with writing, to help me with writing descriptions for my Airbnb listings, sometimes to write emails, sometimes to just ask technical questions. I like Perplexity actually more for how to, like DIY type stuff. But I had been resistant to asking chat about like personal things. And then I realized, well, not realized, I decided that, well, why not? Why don't I just give it a try? I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely very apprehensive about any data that I'm putting or any information I'm putting out there on the internet. But then I remember that nothing that you're going through in life, generally speaking, is really all that unique. We often go through a lot of the same things that are relatable. And so, in this case, I was asking about relationships, among other things. I ended up also asking about health and fitness and money and things like this, having to do with like mindset and things. But mostly, I was asking about romantic relationships. Because why not? Let's just see what it says. And I was actually pretty, I don't know if I was surprised or if I was just like, huh, that's what it says. It's actually quite helpful and quite good. And so I was using this experiment, and so I'm just going to give you some concrete examples because that's probably a bit more fun. So, what did it actually help me to see is that AI is very good at doing a lot of the things that you learn to do in a typical coaching program. And I know this because I did a coaching program in order to become a life coach. It wasn't ultimately a path that I really felt connected to and wanted to take. So even though I spent thousands of dollars, I ended up not actually doing it and following through. But I do know that mirroring back, so reflecting basically back what the person just said so that they feel heard and validated, and also so that they can, see themselves, that's something that chat does a really great job of. Also, it added some other clarification because remember, AI has all of this information out there. It's all the data everywhere. So it's very good at kind of creating, being a persona and using all of the information that there is available there. It's like, okay, I understand that this person wants me to be a life coach. They seem to talk about things in a somewhat metaphysical sense, like timelines. I didn't even volunteer that information. Chat did, but it was definitely something that landed for me. Timelines, contracts, like, oh, you have this energetic contract. Let's break that contract right now. Let's do a visualization. Let's do this is something that it told me, and I thought it was so helpful. It was the somatic thing. So it would say, yes, you know what you want in a relationship, and yet your nervous system isn't in the place of actually receiving that thing. So, to be very concrete, it's that, yes, Erin, you understand that you want depth and you want devotion, and you want to be on this path with somebody who kind of gets it, gets that whole life path thing, gets that whole like wanting to live a creative life. I just kind of know that I really truly do want the experience of being with somebody that kind of gets that I am going to be the fullest version of myself, meaning the most myself that I possibly can in this life. And that means being able to sit in silence, being able to be with yourself in stillness, seeing what comes up, looking at your shadow, doing whatever, doing the work, if you will, for lack of better term. And those are things that I very deeply want. And yet I kept settling, not only settling for people who clearly had not really been on that path at all, but even further than that, chat pointed out to me so clearly that not only did I do that, but I was definitely in an identity of, I can make this work. This is the person in front of me and I'm attached to them. And even though I have to hide parts of myself because I don't think they're really going to understand me, or I think that maybe even these parts are a little bit scary or intimidating to them or unacceptable. So I'll just kind of dumb it down a little bit and make it work, and then I'll be happy, like, or maybe one day this relationship will blossom into the thing that I deeply want if I just kind of stick it out. So that is what chat so very clearly over the course of a month, maybe talking to it to be honest, about 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. I would just have some bursts of, what about this thought? And it would just be like, what about this gross thought that just came into my head because somebody was talking about something and it reminded me of this situation. And it would just be like, no, let's take this slow, and here's what's going on, and here's what I see. And I have to say, it was at least comparable to what I would expect from most coaching sessions. I know I already can see the comments that this is going to be a little controversial, but it's sort of kind of why I'm doing it. But this was my experience. And does AI have limitations? Of course it does. And the thing to always remember is, whether you're talking to a human being or whether you're talking to artificial intelligence, is that the real technology is your own body. It's you feeling deeply what is the truth for you. So, seeing AI kind of reframe what I had already said, or not just reframe what I said, but what I said, and then to say this is this textbook type pattern. And I even had it explain to me some terms that I didn't know before. It said, oh, you want somebody who will co-regulate with you. And I was like, what is that? What does that even mean? But just, it helped me to develop this language around it of okay, this is what's happening here. And that feels true to me in my body. And not only that, it helped me to put it outside of myself. And a little bit it helped to normalize it. Again, I know it's artificial intelligence, and at some point, to some degree, it's going to tell you what you want to hear, but it is also based on a massive amount of data, and most of that being data about human behavior. And so it's very good at predicting human behavior and pointing out patterns. And so being able to take all the thoughts that had been jangling around in my head for a long time, or even that I wasn't even so conscious of, they've been there, below the surface, and just to put them out there and then have them a little bit jumbled up and reflected back to me, there was something about that made it easier for me to detach from it, easier for me to detach from that identity. And of course, chat was also always reminding me, yes, you're having these thoughts, blah, blah, blah. That was that identity. It was, but you're already changing it. Remember, you're already in a different place. You are a different person now. And all of this just completely rings true to me. And could I have come there on my own without using AI? Yeah, sure. I believe that that's actually inevitable. It's a place that I already was in. And I think that, is it required? No. But my point of making this video is that it really brings into question for me this whole notion of online business and coaching as it exists now, and how it's going to change when it comes to AI, right? So here you have something that can give you advice, give you practices, give you journal prompts, whatever it is, whenever you want. However many times per day that you want. You can have an ongoing conversation that's very tailored and personalized to you. And you don't have to spend, you can either spend very little money, like $20 a month or whatever, to get, the better version of ChatGPT, or you could spend no money at all. compare that to your typical coaching program where, I mean, sometimes you have one-off calls where you have to make an appointment, and then maybe a week from now you can talk to your coach for a half hour for $150 or whatever. Or you are in a program and maybe, you have the group and there's value in the group, I think, but so you have your group and you maybe have that call once a week, and then you have your like 1.5 hour call once a month. This is the setup of a couple of programs that I have actually been in. And, it's just kind of like, and if you didn't have the right things to say during that one call or whatever, then like you're just kind of on your own for the rest of the time. And there's nothing really wrong with being on your own. It's kind of the conclusion I'm going to come to here as well. There's nothing wrong with being on your own, but being able to have those thoughts reflected back to me, it did help. It gave me a bit of a calm and get a bit of perspective. So, what about coaching as a business? What about courses? What about all of that? Because this is what, everybody out there is selling a course. I used to sell a course. I bought a course about how to sell courses because I thought, well, that's just getting closer to what I really want. I mean, it was a logical perspective. It was like, okay, I'm going to be an influencer. And I was like, no, I don't like just being like, oh, this is my lavish travel lifestyle. And that just seemed very fake to me. Then, I'm cutting out quite a lot of a career. But then I was like, okay, well, if I make a course, then that will be the thing that I genuinely want to share. And it was a course about bullet journaling, which I still freaking love to talk about. And I talk about it all the time on this channel. So if you're interested in content about bullet journaling, it is here. And it's just an organization technique that I won't go into very much right now, but I freaking love it. And I thought, okay, well, at least this is something that I really feel very passionate about and I know can help people. And I could sell it as a low ticket item, charge a smallish amount of money so nobody's breaking the bank, but they're happy with what they got and they get value, and I get value because I am sharing something that I truly love. And I feel that I'm kind of an expert on it because I've been doing it for a long time. And anyways, so that seemed like really aligned for me for a while until I got to the point of, okay, well, I got to write this sales page and I got to learn how to do that correctly. And, the course that I bought kind of told me all of this stuff and how to do it. And I can use AI as a tool for all of that. But just none of it really quite was there. And I think that the way that I would articulate that now is that this whole economy of courses and coaching and things like that is all about, I have something that you want, that you are lacking. And you can pay me the money and then I will help you to have that thing that you want or that thing that I have. I know I'm dumbing it down. I can hear the coaches out there right now that, oh no, my job as a coach is to lead people back to themselves. And that is great and beautiful. And I think that honestly, I don't think that coaching's going away. I think there'll still be a great market for it. But I think that we as humans are going to be moving a little less away from only paying coaches because we are in such pain about our problems and we think that other people have a solution. And courses, the same thing. There's courses about all kinds of things, and I've bought courses about all kinds of things. But let's be real, so many of them out there are about money, and they're about how do you make money online? How do you start this kind of business? How do you start this kind of business? When you really peel back the layers, you see that the way that people made their money wasn't even by the thing that they're teaching you how to do. Oftentimes, they're making money from the courses that teaching you how to do the thing. Of course, there is that situation of like, okay, well, I have a course about how to make online products and digital products and how to sell them on Instagram and things like that. And it usually goes like this. If you do the things that I say without question and just do exactly what I say, you will be successful. And that may very well be true. But I know that for me, I just it never really worked because I never was able to really follow through. And I now know that that wasn't just a failure on my part. It wasn't a lack of discipline. It was that there was just something very unaligned and not resonant about it. And I don't want my work to feel that way. And the only reason that I can sit here and say this now is because I spent so much time, because I got out there in the arena, I tried things, I saw what was not resonant. And because I sit with myself in silence every day. And the more you do that, and the more you steep in also just the feeling of complete contentment and complete fulfillment, because those are all aspects of you. They're all part of who you are. You are contentment. You are fulfillment. That's who you are. And the more you really know this and just feel it in your bones, the less you can get away with doing things that an external authority says. It doesn't mean that people can't be authorities on things. There's plenty of people who know about stuff that I do not know, and it's okay to take advice from people, but it's always about checking in with yourself and knowing that a blueprint and here is how you're going to get there faster, it almost never works. It works for some people, the money part. Either they're very aligned, or as in they were already doing that thing and that really just, was the thing that they did. Or it only works for them for a while and then they get burnt out as well. Or they're a different kind of person than I am, or the different kind of person than you are most likely if you're hearing this, which is that you don't want something that's just good enough. I don't even want a job where if it's something that it just feels completely unaligned for me and I just hate doing it, I don't care if I only have to spend 2 hours a week doing it, I still don't want to do it. I want ultimate receiving for exactly what I want to create. This is exactly me giving all of what I have and exactly what I want to give, and then receiving for that. That is the world that I want to live in. So this is what I always come back to, especially when I get all worked up about my own, personal issues, is coming back to remembering what is the world that you want to live in, and remembering that all of anything you've ever imagined is possible. It is a possibility. It's a possibility that exists here and now. This is that metaphysical thing of, any potential reality. Creation is finished. It's already here. It's already a parallel reality. You just have to shift your awareness to it, kind of thing. And so we often think about that in our personal lives, hey, in my reality, I'm with this person, a specific person, or whatever. But this is even beyond that. What I want to say, I don't want to say that it's better, but it's just something more truer and deeper, I find, is to think about how does it feel to be in a world full of human beings that just they really know their own power, and they really know, and they have known from the very beginning of their whole life, and everybody around them knows this because this is just the experience of being a human on this planet, that all you're here to do is play and enjoy life and give fully of yourself, to develop your talents, to do the things that bring you joy, and follow your curiosity, and all of that deliciousness that we have. And to know that nothing really is outside of you. All of this experience happens within you, within the field of you. So, always coming back to that perspective, it's pretty hard to keep buying into, okay, well, I know all that's true and it's a potential reality and stuff. And, you know, I could live and move from that place. Or I could just go back to choosing to buy into the system. Well, okay, but in the sense of business, I have to make the sales page. I have to do the thing where I point out what people are lacking, the problem that they have. I mean, this is what you're often told, right? Solve a specific problem for a specific type of person, and then they will happily give you your money in exchange for the solution to that problem, right? And yeah, we have problems and we look for solutions. I understand that. But I just can't do it that way. I just cannot. I can't do it that way. This is the whole reason that I have been, starting this as a donation-based business. I make these videos on YouTube. I give them to you. You don't have to pay me anything at all, but if you want to, I have links in the bio for that. And I live this way. I've been doing it more and more. I have a budget for things, for money that I want to give to creators. And so this brings me to my next point, which is, okay, without this, what if our economy and our system wasn't like that at all? What if it wasn't based on lack? What if it, like AI is only a piece of it. I know I started out the video talking about that. Like, okay, what if AI just completely replaces coaching and completely replaces courses and all of this business advice, and we're all taken care of? We don't have to spend any money paying any humans for those kinds of things. Then, how do we make and earn money out here in this creator economy? And what I would love to see, and what I think we're actually going towards, is that we see the value in embodiment. I already see this happening, that we see in other human beings who are embodying the life that we want to, not just the life we want to live, not an image of a life we want to live, like travel influencers who are gallivanting all over the place, and that's, we aspire to that, but more somebody really deciding to show up and be exactly who they are, and willing to make mistakes, and willing to put themselves out there, willing to share potentially controversial viewpoints that not everybody on the planet now is going to understand and get. And that's fine and beautiful. Not everybody has to agree, obviously. But when we are connecting with this person and really are touched by them, we want to give. That's just naturally who we are. I think that we as human beings, this is our nature. And I think that there are currently enough human beings alive right now on this planet that resonate with this. And that think if my money, I know that everything seems very expensive now. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the whole financial system. But that aside, wouldn't it be interesting if we didn't need to pay so much money for solutions to these problems, solutions to how to make more money, solution to, how to get a relationship, whatever. And instead, we just give to people who are an embodiment of what we want to see more of on the planet. I don't know, there's something about this person and what they're saying. I just want them to continue it. I want them to continue being themselves. I want to support them. But not only that, they have unlocked something and made something possible in me, or made something possible for me, just by showing up as themselves. And I just can't even help myself but to give back to them, because it just feels like the right thing to do. And I really think that this is where we're moving towards. At least that's a piece of the reality that I've been dwelling in for a long enough time now, that I move from that place. And that I just simply, even though I had been scared to get on the internet and say things like this for a while, but it gets to a point where you dwell in it long enough that the fears it just doesn't mean anything anymore. And after all, it's only you here, really. I mean, there are these other people, but it's that whole like, why should I be afraid of what anybody thinks? I used to also be afraid that I would change my mind and like go back. What if, because of course my perspective is already evolving, is always evolving. And what if I have a completely different perspective later on? Well, that's okay too. That's still all part of the path, and it's beautiful. So that's what I wanted to share today, my friends. I don't think that, and listen, I don't really think that AI is a complete replacement for human beings. I also don't think that coaching is a completely invalid life path. I'm a little bit validating myself for not really wanting to do coaching. I just never really liked it. Having one-on-one calls, like the irony will be that one day I will like decide to do coaching because life is long and you can always change your mind and pivot if you want to. No big deal. But my thought right now is like, yeah, I don't want that. I just want to give value. I just want to do this. This is what I know I want to do. And I, of course, would like to believe that I can be fully supported in doing this. And I don't exactly know how yet. And that is okay. Instead of coming from that place of like, I have to figure out the business structure and how I'm going to make money first, you do the thing first. This is that leap of faith, that trust. And I know it goes against like every single thing that coaches have said in these, I don't know, $600 to $2,000 courses that I have bought, none of which have worked out. So just getting out there and experimenting and always checking in with yourself about, what does this feel aligned for me? Does it feel like I am actually nourished by doing the thing itself? Aside from the money. I don't need the money to show up in order to feel like I have been successful at doing this thing. It feels like I can hardly keep myself from doing it, is what it feels like. And gosh, if I like, not only do I want to live a life like that, but I want a world full of people living this way. And with that, my friends, thank you so much for listening. And I've got some, if you like this kind of content, I share this kind of thing, this big picture stuff, and also the niggly details of life. Those are the things that I really like to talk about too. The like, how do you, as a creative and entrepreneurial person, actually organize your to-do list and do things on time, all this kind of stuff. That's why I love bullet journaling as a tool, and also that it's creative and beautiful. So I do it a little differently than a lot of other people do, so you might want to check that content out as well. And I have some links in the description for how you can support me and this channel if you would like. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye.